Welcome to the Southeastern United States. This is Nutnfancy with another knife clinic. This is not my normal knife clinic. That's in the Great Rocky Mountains in the Western United States. This is something completely different. That's why I come here. It's got different trees, different humidity levels, different vegetation altogether. It's a great place to test the KaBar heavy Bowie knife. And that's the knife we're going to take down in those woods there, and I'm going to teach you how to make a fire with this knife. It's a beautiful day, almost too beautiful. I'd almost prefer it to be rainy and snowy. Maybe not snowy down here, but at least rainy. It's harder to make a fire in those conditions, and you really got to have your technique down right. We'll have some of those videos coming your way sometime as well. But for now, let's go on down there, get busy. We got a lot of work to do. Thanks for joining me. Big old spider. We'll try not to disturb him too much. Hi, Nutnfancy in the southeastern US, and I'm testing this here KaBar heavy Bowie knife. That's what I've done with it so far. I like coming out to different areas, not just the Rocky Mountains, because the trees are different, the foliage is different, the climate is totally different, and it's also a good clinic to test blades like this. Now, this is a 1095 steel blade, therefore you're going to have to take care of it in high humidity climates like this. It's about 85 degrees here today, 50% humidity. So I brought some WD-40 with me. That's just my lubrication oil that I use as I'm using my blades, and my Sawvivor saw. Doesn't really matter what lubricant you use. Now when I storm, I use rim oil. That's my favorite one. Anyways, that's what I've done with this KaBar heavy Bowie knife. I'm going to do a little bit more, but like I've said in my other videos, chopping through a tree, even with an excellent survival knife like the KaBar heavy Bowie, it's a lot of work. And it took me 8 miles of hard hiking to get here, so I'm already tired and I haven't eaten, so my energy level is really low. Now, I could spend probably another half hour hacking through this, no doubt, done it before, but I'm probably going to do is hack a little bit, and then I'm going to use my Sawvivor that I brought with. It's much more efficient use of energy. I'm going to zip through this, and this is indeed a dead tree. I've already checked, and as you can see, no sap's flowing. It's dead wood. And then we'll see if I have time, I'll process some of it for fire making. Anyways, here's the KaBar heavy Bowie for chopping. I like this handle, by the way, how it has that curvature at the end. It really helps you maintain a grip as you're chopping. Now, if you had to, of course, you could chop through an entire tree with your survival knife, a large survival knife. I'd love to see you do what I'm doing here with a 6-inch blade. If you do it, go ahead and post your video with no pauses, because I want to see it done. This is probably at least a 10-inch wide trunk. Actually, this is 9-inch. So, yeah, on this side, it's about 10 inches this way, 9 inches that way. It's kind of an oblong shaped trunk. Like I've said in a lot of my other videos, there's very few replacements or substitutes for a large bladed survival knife. They just rock. And the KaBar heavy Bowie is a great example of that. And one thing I love about the KaBar, it's not overly heavy. It's 15 ounces for the knife itself and 20 in the sheath, which is made of leather and Cordura. Look at my tabletop review of this excellent high value survival knife. But a lot of guys act like that a 6-inch blade is enough to do these tasks. It's not. If you think it is, you need to come out in the woods more often and try it yourself. This is a heck of a lot of work doing what I'm doing, and that's with a 9-inch large Bowie knife. It might be a little bit easier if I had an RTAC 2, something that's even heavier with a thicker blade. The KaBar heavy Bowie is kind of narrow at the front because of the swedge. Therefore, it doesn't have a good forward swing. That's good, but it's not as purposeful as maybe an RTAC 2, maybe a Trailmaster by Cold Steel. However, I am pretty pleased with its chopping performance for the weight of the knife. It's pretty decent. You can see I've done this so far. Let's do a little more. I'm kind of working like a beaver. I would go around the circumference of the tree, notching it like you see. Let me zoom in a little bit for you guys. Sorry if it's bumpy. It's a wilderness clinic, guys, so take it as it comes. There you go. Cut these vines out of the way. I'm tired. You get the message there. That KaBar is capable of doing it. Let's go ahead and follow it with a Sawvivor though. Get to work. If I have time, I'll process it with that. Nutnfancy, Southeastern United States, another knife clinic. Okay, here we are on the other side of this designated firewood tree. Why do I even go to the trouble of chopping down a tree? This is a bird cara knife I'll use for my pointer. It's because a tree like this is standing vertical. Therefore, as it rains or it snows, it will tend to absorb less water. Your best wood is going to be in the interior of this tree. I don't care what climate you're in. If you can find a standing deadwood tree, that's the one you want to use for your firewood. That's why it's worth the work. Now, it's dry enough today. There's no rain, nor has it rained probably in the last few days where we are. So it could probably be very doable to go ahead and gather wood on the ground. However, it will have a higher moisture content from having soaked up water from past rains. That's just a fact. So that's why we go to the trouble of doing this. Here's the Sawvivor saw. You've seen this up in my knife clinic in the Rocky Mountains. It is my favorite backpacking saw. They might make better ones in the future, but I love it. I put the blade on. Make sure after you put the blade on, you really tension it up nice and tight, okay? And as we use the Sawvivor, make sure it does not bind. I've talked to this before. So you're gonna have to change the presentation of your wood. You might have to lean on it so the wood doesn't pinch with its own weight, the saw blade. Here's my little tiny can of WD-40. Always lubricate your blades unless you really want to just kill yourself for working, which I don't. Work smarter, not harder, whenever possible. Here's where I've notched with a KaBar heavy Bowie. And again, we could finish that, but it was going to take me some time to do that. Let me resituate the camera here. And that's time I just don't have today. So I'm lucky to be doing this. A little safety check of the tree, see which way it's looking. In we go with the Sawvivor. A little more spray, and then I'll pause the camera and show you the timbering portion of it as we go, so I don't bore you. Kind of like the movie City Slickers. Hey, Nutnfancy, you're no lumberjack. I am today. You're no cowboy. I am today. I need to really look at where this tree's going to fall for safety. As I come, now my blade's getting pinched because I've gone far enough through the wood. See that? Now if I lean against it, I can move it out. Let me see if I can make it fall right now. There we go. Almost there. Since I'm alone too, I've got to be extra careful. And that hike in was tough. By the way, I haven't eaten anything today either. Alright, not quite yet. Sorry if I'm out of frame. It's hard to film and do this 3 times. I'm going to notch it a little bit with the KaBar. That'll help. See where I cut with a Sawvivor. Get this out of the way. Watch this, it's going to go right through. Bam! Right through that vine. There we go. Now it's teetering. I'm going to have to relocate. See how it's just barely on there? Let's reposition again for safety. Timber. Let's see how we did over here with the cutting. Oh yeah. Sawvivor. Questions? That's also the KaBar helping out too. Big time. You'd be very well equipped to go in the woods with these 2 woods tools right here. Nice. Fall in a tree with the KaBar and the Sawvivor. KaBar heavy Bowie. If I have time, I'll dovetail this into making some firewood out of it. Alright, let's go ahead and I might have a little more time, so I'm going to go ahead and cut off a chunk and process it right here with the KaBar and the KaBar heavy Bowie knife, and also the excellent Sawvivor backpackers saw. Time for a relube of the blade again, especially in the South US with the elms, the poplars, and other non-deciduous trees like pines and stuff. You're going to get your blade really sappy, and when your blade's really sappy, it just does not cut very well. Try to make this as straight as I can. Sometimes though that Sawvivor just kind of goes off on a vector and ends up as an angled cut. That's just the way it is. I'm probably about on as big a piece as I can be with this Sawvivor. Yeah, see how it's angling? I can't really prevent that. It's just what it is because the blade's so flexible. Okay, going through the log with a Sawvivor. This is a big log for the blade, by the way. About 10 inches by 9 inches, like I said, estimated. Again, oh look at that bee, shoe bee. I got an angle cut going. Like I said, that's not ideal. The reason that sucks is because I'm cutting a longer length by going an angle. The quickest way between 2 points is a straight line. But it's a flexible blade. This is a very big log. It's pretty much impossible to go straight in my experience with a Sawvivor. You're just going to go at an angle, as try as you might. So it is what it is. But now we see that I've reached the depth limit of the saw. So I'm going to have to saw that way, maybe rotate it around to get through this very large, not very large, but sizable piece of wood here. It's a lot of work doing the wood. It really is. It burns a lot of calories. It takes a lot of time. But if you have the right tools, it's a lot better. And it's actually possible. Without the right tools, it's pretty much impossible.